Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So the next discussion will be about those things that invalidate the fast, the mufsidat of Sawm. And after invalidating the fast, they also necessitate that the person makes up the fast, makes qadā of the fast, and also gives the kaffarah expiation for the fast. So the things that will break the fast and also necessitate the expiation kaffarah are: number one, if a person eats or drinks something of nutritional value, meaning something that customarily is eaten on purpose, or if something ingests something for medicinal purposes, again on purpose. The second thing would be that if a person has marital relationships, meaning explicitly here sexual intercourse on purpose. So all of these things, when done purposely, intentionally, will break the fast, necessitate that the person makes up the fast, makes qadā of the fast, and also gives the expiation for the fast. Now, when we talk about things that are food and that have nutritional value and are customarily eaten, we're excluding such things, for example, as stones or uncooked dough or flour and things like that, as these things are things that don't have nutritional value or are not customarily eaten. So ingesting such things, eating such things would only necessitate the makeup, the qadā, and they would not necessitate the expiation. Yet, however, doing so, eating these kind of things without a valid excuse would still be a sinful act. The next thing to take note of is that expiation, the kaffarah, will only be mandatory when, number one, the intention for the fast is made before Fajr time, is made before true dawn. So if the person, for the fast of Ramadan, he made his intention after Subh Sadiq, after true dawn, and then later on broke his fast by intentionally eating or drinking or having marital relationships, then that will necessitate the makeup fast. It will not necessitate kaffarah. So for the expiation kaffarah to be necessary, the intention has to be made before the Fajr time. Another condition for expiation kaffarah to be an obligation is that when the person breaks the fast intentionally by eating, drinking, or with marital relationships, then he has to be in a state that he is healthy. Therefore, if he at that time is in a state where he is sick and the sickness is severe enough to otherwise absolve him from fasting, then in that case also, even if he intentionally breaks the fast by eating, drinking, or with marital relationships, it will only necessitate the qadā, makeup fast. It will not necessitate the kaffarah. Also, a condition for expiation to be an obligation is that a woman, while fasting in the month of Ramadan, breaks her fast intentionally by eating, drinking, or with marital relationships, but at the same time, on the same day, before the Maghrib time, before sunset, before she has to break her fast, she does not experience menstruation or postnatal bleeding. Therefore, if on the same day that the woman broke her fast intentionally, she experienced, before the fast ends, before Maghrib time, she experiences menstruation or postnatal bleeding, her breaking of the fast will only necessitate the qadā, the makeup. It will not necessitate the kaffarah expiation. The next thing to take note of is that so basically we said that if the fast is broken by eating, drinking, or by having marital relationships on purpose, only then will it break a person's fast and necessitate the qadā, makeup, and also necessitate the kaffarah, the expiation. Therefore, what does this exclude? This obviously excludes that if a person were to eat and drink or have intercourse out of forgetfulness, then he neither will have to make up the fast nor will he have to perform expiation. So by doing any of these three things out of forgetfulness, it will neither break a person's fast nor, so obviously he won't have to make it up, and nor will it be necessary for him to give the expiation. What do we mean But what do we mean when we say forgetfulness over here? So, forgetfulness in this context means that a person forgets that one is fasting. So, this does not mean that a person forgets that the act that he committed breaks the fast. So, for example, if a person forgot for some reason that having marital relationships, intercourse, will break a person's fast, and then he committed that act thinking that it will not break his fast, this act of having the marital relationship will break his fast in this case. The forgetfulness, this forgetfulness will not be considered. It will not be considered. So, in such a situation, it will invalidate the fast. Although it will not necessitate the kaffarah expiation, but it will invalidate the fast. Another thing to take note of when we talk about forgetfulness is that if one breaks the fast out of forgetfulness, he forgets that he is fasting by eating, drinking, or by eating or drinking. And then, although the fast will not be nullified by eating or drinking, like we just mentioned, out of forgetfulness, a person must stop the act immediately upon remembering that he is fasting. If he fails to do so, if he fails to stop eating and drinking immediately after he remembers, then to continue to eat or drink will nullify the fast. It will nullify the fast. The last part of this discussion is about the kaffarah, the expiation. So, number one, expiation kaffarah will only be necessary when a person intentionally, purposely breaks his fast in the month of Ramadan by eating, drinking, or by having marital relationships. Now, expiation will have to be performed by either number one, freeing a slave. Obviously, this does not exist in our time anymore. Right now, it is not possible. So, therefore, we will have to go to the second option. The second option is that he must fast for 2 consecutive months, 60 days, without not fasting any day in between for the complete 60 days. If he is genuinely unable to do this also, then he will go to option number 3, which is that he must feed 60 poor people. Each poor person will have to be fed a half sa of wheat, which is equivalent to 2.2 kilograms, or he will have to give each poor person the equivalent of this amount of food in monetary value to each person. The other option he also has is, instead of feeding 60 people this amount, he can feed one poor person for 60 days the same amount, 2.2 kilograms of wheat, or give the equivalent monetary value. But it has to be given on each day separately for 60 days. And the last point I want to make is that if a person is coerced, if a person is forced to break his fast, someone forces him to eat or drink or have marital relationships, then in this case also, it will not necessitate the kaffarah. It will not necessitate the expiation.